What's going on, fellow Luminaries? Welcome back in. I'm Lorcana Thanos, the Mad Titan of the Illuminary. Azurite Sea is finally out, which you can pick up at your friendly local game store. So what I wanted to do today is go through the brand new single player decks for Azurite Sea. We're going to open them up, see what is inside, and check out the decks, and just give my initial thoughts on the decks as a whole. The two decks, of course, are Genius Reinvented. Of course, this is the Emerald Sapphire one. And then, of course, the Seaworthy crew. And this is Amber Ruby. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Alright, so let's start with the Seafaring crew. As we can see, it has Jim Hawkins and Tigger on it. It is Amber Ruby, and yes, I did open it already because I wanted to see the pack. Didn't get anything great. So as we can see, it says, cast off for uncharted waters. As you sail into the unknown, you'll want the likes of the Amber Glimmer, Jim Hawkins, Honorable Pirate, and Ruby Glimmer, Tigger, and the Crow's Nest in your ship. With the help of plenty of other pirates, you'll navigate the dangers of the Azurite Sea while seeking adventure and precious lore. So it has a 60 card single player deck with 2 foil cards, of course, being the Gem and the Tigger, a paper playmat, a paper token tracker, game rules, 11 damage counters, and the booster. So let's go ahead and open it up. So if you're new to the game, here's the quick start rules for you. The game's pretty straightforward. Just give this a quick read. It's pretty easy to understand. Then we can fold out the paper mat lore tracker. So it's just very simple. Discard inkwell, lore, and cards and deck. And then of course the damage and the lore. But the big thing we're here for is this right here. Let's go ahead and rip this paper off. All right. So first up, of course, we have Jim Hawkins, Honorable Pirate. So he's a Inkable 7, that's a 4/7 for 2, a bodyguard. And then when you play him, you look at the top 4 of your deck. You reveal any number of pirate characters, put them into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom. I think this card is pretty good overall for a dedicated pirate deck. Then we have, of course, Tigger in the Crow's Nest, so a Inkable 3, that's a 0/4 with evasive for 1, that whenever you play in action, he gains an additional strength in lore for this turn. I think this card does have potential, but again, of course, it's something that you need to build around. All right, then we have 1 copy of Winnie the Pooh Honey Pirate. I will have a Winnie the Pooh deck profile coming on the channel, so be sure to look for that. And this guy is in that deck profile. So he's a non-inkable 2. That's a 2/2 for support with 1, that whenever you quest, you pay 1 less ink for the next pirate that you play. You get 1 Pooh's pirate ship. 1 Moana Kakamora leader. So this girl is a shift 5. That's an Inkable 7, 6/5/1. That when you play this character, you may move any number of your characters to the same location for free, and you gain a lore for each one moved. So again, this would be required to build in a dedicated deck. There's 1 Wendy, Courageous Captain. So evasive, which is pretty good. Again, she's built around pirates. Then we have 2 Owls. So Owl is during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn. 2 Gophers, just a 1/6 for 2 vanilla. That's a 4-cost inkable. 2 copies of Fix-It Felix Jr. and Niceland Steward. So this guy is from the previous set, Shimmering Skies. So he's an inkable 5. That's a 4/5 shift 3 for 1. That he gives your locations +2 willpower. So since this deck is focusing on locations, I'm assuming there's locations in here. Rescue Rangers away. I'm super happy for the Rescue Rangers. I actually have a deck profile for them that you can find here on the channel. Just click the card above. So 2 copies of Rescue Rangers away. It's an action. You count the number of characters in play. Chosen character gets strength reduced equal to that number that you have in play. Let's see, 2 copies of the Amber Chronicon. So this is an inkable item. That costs 2, you exert it to remove up to 1 damage from each of your characters. This card can have practical use. And then we have how many? So there's 3 copies of John Darling. So a inkable 2, that's a 1/4 with 1 just to have some early game characters. 2 copies of Kakamora Boarding Party, a non-inkable 4 that has Rush, a 5/2 for 1. He's not as a uncommon. He's not bad as a Rush character to get something off the board. Let's see, 2 copies of Jasmine, Rebellious Princess, an inkable 3. That's a 2/3 for 2 that when she quests, each opponent loses 1 lore. This is meant primarily for multiplayers, but even in a 1v1 situation, lore reduction, and she has 2, that's a pretty good swing. 1 John Silver, the Ferocious Friend, a non-inkable 4. That's a 2/4 for 2 that whenever he quests, you may deal 1 damage to another chosen character of yours, and if you do, you ready that character, and they can't quest for the rest of this turn. I'm very curious to try this card out. It potentially has some uses. Only 1 copy of the Islands I pulled from the sea, so this is a song that's non-inkable for 3. You search your deck for a location, reveal that card to all players, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So, very much like that you're able to find locations. This is how it's worded with all players. It's of course worded for multiplayer. If you're in a 1v1 situation and you run a location-based deck, I would highly recommend you run 4 of those to find your locations, dig through your deck, and getting it into your hand is huge. A lot of these cards, just put it on like the top of the deck right now, and being able to actually get it to your hand is super, super fantastic. Well, here's our first location, 1 copy of Radigan's Party. Again, this is from Shimmering Skies, the previous set. So it's a inkable 2 cost. That's a movement cost of 1. If you're new, that's this number here. You pay 1 ink to move a character here. And then the willpower is 7. So its effect is while you have a damaged character here, this location gets +2 ink. So ideally, you could get that triggered off with this John Silver effect right here. Going into what looks like our Amber cards, we have 3 copies of Rabbit. So Rabbit here is when you play this character, you remove up to 1 damage from chosen character. It's an inkable 1 cost, and has 1 string, 2 willpower, and 1 lore pip. It's very much to the color identity of Amber, which is about healing, which we saw with the Chronicon. So we have 2 100 Acre Island, Pooh's Home. So a inkable 1, movement cost 1, willpower 5, that during your opponent's turn, whenever a character is banished while here, you gain a lore. I think that's actually really good for early game aggression. It looks like we get 3 copies of Rue, Littlest Pirate. So he's an inkable 2 cost, so it's a 1/2, and his effect, I'm a pirate 2. So when you play this character, you get a chosen character -2 string until the start of your next turn. So there's a deck called Under the Sea that I think this would work really well in, on top of like your Kitas and stuff. Looks like we get 2 copies of Fix It Felix Jr. Delighted Sightseer. So he's an inkable 2, a 1/3, and when you play this character, if you have a location play, draw a card. And then of course we already saw the other one that you shift on him. We have 2 I Won't Give In. So this is a brand new song card. That's an inkable. For 2, it says return a character with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. So if one of your little guys gets into the discard, you can bring them back. Seems pretty good. Both of, I always mispronounce these guys' names. I believe it's Took and Rut. So these are the mooses that are from Brother Bear, and they came out in Azurite Sea. So this one is just an inkable 4/4/4 for 1, so it's just a big body. And then this one has the support keyword. He's inkable 4/3/4 with 1 lore pip. Then we get 3 copies of Mickey Mouse Courageous Sailor. So Mickey here is a inkable 3. That's a 2/4 that says while this character's at a location, he gets +2 string, taking him to 4, and he has 1 lore pip. Then we have 2 Moanas. So Moana's Self-Taught Sailor, an inkable 1, that's a 3/2 for 1, that this character can't challenge unless you have a captain character in play. So, guess that's what, Wendy, the John Silver, probably Jim, stuff like that. And then, of course, we have that Kakamora leader that you can shift her on. Looks like 3 copies of Michael Darling, Playful Swordsman, a inkable 1 cost, that's a 2/2 for 1. So this is a pretty standard stat line for ones. Then 3 Kakamora, Pirate Pitcher, inkable 2, that's a 1/3 for 1. That when you play this character, Chosen Pirate gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So for dedicated pirate decks, I really like that. Evasive is such a strong keyword. All right, we got 2 more locations here. So we have Skull Rock from Peter Pan. Fantastic. It's a inkable 2, movement cost 1, willpower 6. So it has 2 effects. Characters get +1 strength while here, pretty good. And then Safe Haven. At the start of your turn, if you have a power here, gain 1 lore. So you can obviously find this with the islands I pulled from the sea. And then since we're playing pirates, that's going to go off. And then we have 3 copies of Ratigan, Raging Rat. Again, another card from the previous set, Shimmering Skies, the inkable 3. That's a 1/5 for 1 that says while this character has damage, he gets +2 strength. Again, this would be another guy that you could target with that John Silver. And then Ratigan will get his stat boost. And then 2 copies to round out the deck of Lead the Way. So this is an action card that costs 2 and is inkable and says your characters get +2 strength this turn. Notice it's a chosen character, so it would boost everything. All right, that is the Amber Ruby deck, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, so that's the deck. So what do I think? Yeah, I think it has potential. You know, you're obviously focusing on pirates, and then you want to get out Felix. Oh, we just passed him. And then the John Silver seems to be what you're looking for on top of our other cards up front. Primarily being like Wendy, because she's a captain. Moana is another captain. Let's see. And then probably Jim. It's kind of what you're aiming for. I think if you bought 2, combined them, and try to like maybe tighten the list up a bit, I think it has potential if you're brand new getting started in the game. Now let's check out the Genius Reinvented one here. So we've got Go-Go and Gadget on it. It is a Emerald Sapphire. And then on the back it says Genius Reinvented. Think like an inventor and transform the way you play as Emerald Glimmer Go-Go Tamago Darting Dynamo zips into action along with the always thinking Sapphire Glimmer Gadget Hack Wrench Brilliant Bassoon with the speed and intellect. You'll work quickly and creatively to secure lore that will mean victory. Yes, I opened the pack on this one too and didn't get anything great. So let's go ahead and dump everything out. And then just like with the prior one, quick start rules, the mat, and the damage counters. Let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. Okay, and then right out the gate. So here we have the cold foils are Gadget and Go-Go as shown on the box. So Gadget is an inkable 6, so it's a 3/6 for 3. You shift for 4. And while you have 3 or more items in play, you pay 1 less to play inventor characters. And that's something that Azurite Sea is really diving into, is the inventor classification. All right, then we have Go-Go here. So Go-Go Tamago, a Darting Dynamo. She's a 2 cost inkable 2/2 for 1 with evasive. Also has the inventor classification. And her effect, Stop Whining Woman Up. When you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to gain lore equal to the damage on chosen opposing character. This is such a great card. And then we have, looks like 1 copy of Goofy Expert Shipwright. So Goof is an inkable 5. That's a 1/4, has ward and 3 lore. And when this character quest, chosen character gets ward till the start of your next turn. Very solid effect. 1 copy of You Came Back. So it's a non-inkable 3 cost action that you ready a chosen character. That's like 1 Hero Hamada Team Leader. So this is a inkable 4 cost. That's a 1/5 for 1. So he gives your inventor characters resist +1. And then his second effect is you pay 2 ink, you look at the top card of your deck, put it either on the top or bottom of your deck. So it's a way to help get through your deck and you know what's upcoming. 1 Baymax Personal Healthcare Companion, inkable 3 cost, 0/4. that has 2 lore. So he has 2 effects that if you have an invented character in play, you pay 1 less to play this character, making him a 2, so pretty good. And then you can pay 2 ink to remove up to 1 damage from chosen character. So again, that's very thematic for Baymax to heal. This guy also has an enchanted version, and if you want to see me rank all the enchanteds in Azurite Sea, you can click the card up above. Looks like we get 2 copies of Clarabelle. Clarabelle here is a Inkable 3. That's a 2/3 for 1. She comes out of the prior set of Shimmering Skies. That when you play this character, if your opponent has more cards in their hand than you, you draw a card. So a tiny way to draw cards. All right, some more Big Hero 6 stuff. 2 copies of Honey Lemon, Chemical Genius, a Inkable 2 cost. That's a 1/1 for 2. That when you play this character, you may pay 2 ink to have each opponent choose and discard a card. So leaning into Emerald's identity of discard, but also it's worded for multiplayer. Of course, you can still play this 1v1. Looks like 2 copies of Prince Philip Royal Explorer, an Inkable 3. That's a 3/2 for 2 with wards. He's protected. Pretty decent. And we get 2 copies of Megabot. So a Megabot is a 2-cost non-inkable item that says this item enters play exerted. So if you're brand new, that would be like this. And then destroy, you exert it. Banish, that you banish it, and then you choose one. You either banish chosen item or banish chosen damaged character. So item removal or character removal. That's as long as they're damaged, seems pretty good. 2 copies of the Emerald Chronicron. So this is from Shimmering Skies as well. It's a non-inkable 3. It's an item and says that during opponent's turns, whenever one of your characters is banished, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. So it's a way to bounce. It's a form of, pretty much a form of removal. This card is very good in Emerald. 2 copies of Hiro Hamada Robotics Prodigy, a Inkable 3 cost. That's a 0/3 for 1. You exert them, pay 2 ink. You search your deck for an item or robot, reveal it to all players. Again, worded for multiplayer. Shuffle your deck and put that card on top of it. So like I was saying earlier with the items that I pulled from the sea, you notice how this card here just puts it on top of the deck as to where that adds the location to your hand. So for some comparison. But there's the 2 heroes. 2 Wasabi Methodical Engineer, an Inkable 4. That's a 3/3 for 1. That has 2 effects. When you play this character, you may banish chosen item. Its player gains 1 lore. And during your turn, this character gains evasive. I like this card a lot because when you expand this deck out of the starter and you go with an item-based deck, which is what Sapphire likes to do, you can banish your item, gain the lore, and then, of course, pick it back up with Tamatoa. It looks like we get 2 copies of the brand new Hey Hey Not So Tricky Chicken. He's a Inkable 2. That's 2/2 for 1. That when you play him, you can exert chosen opposing item and it can't ready at the start of its next turn. I really like this for competitive play for locking down something, say like Lucky Dime. And then during your turn, this character gains evasive. And then looks like we get 2 copies of Ludwig von Drake, a Inkable 5 cost. That's a 4/4 with 3 lore. And this guy came out in Shimmering Skies. And finally, Pleakley is in Lorcana. So Pleakley, Scientific Expert. Pleakley here is an Inkable 3 with a 3/4 for 1 that when you play this character, put chosen character of yours into your inkwell face down and exert it. So some ramping, which is what Sapphire likes to do. 3 copies of Fred, Mascot by Day. So he's an Inkable 1/1 for 1. A lot of 1s around here. So Fred here, whenever this character is challenged, you gain 2 lore. So you want to use this as a aggro way, basically get your opponent to go into this guy, just keep questing. Eventually your opponent's going to have to remove him, and then you'll get 2 lore. Seems pretty good. 2 copies of Stitch, Little Trickster. So he's a Inkable 2 cost. That's a 1/3 for 1, and you pay 1 ink to give him +1 strength this turn, making him a 2/3. Yeah, pretty good. 2 copies of Heathcliff Stoic Butler. So Fred's Butler is here as well. He's an inkable 4 cost. That's a 3/3 for 2 that has ward. So, you know, he's just hanging around. 3, I stand corrected. 3 Alistair Cree, Ambitious Entrepreneur, a 3 cost inkable. That's a 2/4 for 1 that when you play this character, if an opponent has an item in play, you gain 1 lore. Yeah, this is, hey, Sapphire players, thanks for having items in play. Looks like 2 copies of Basil, Hypnotized Mouse, a inkable 3 cost. That's a 3/2 for 1 and has evasive. Then we have 2 copies of Dawson, Basil's assistant. He's an inkable 4, 3/4, and 2 lore pips. All right, now we get another Shimmering Skies card in Merryweather, the Good Fairy. Inkable 1 cost, that's a 1/2 for 1 that when you play this character, you can pay an ink to give chosen character +2 strength this turn. I always enjoy stat boosting effects. 2 copies of Heffalumps and Woozles from Winnie the Pooh. So it's an inkable 2 cost song that chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn. And then you draw a card. So lock down a card on your opponent's board and then draw a card for a replacement effect. Pretty good. 3 copies of Yokai, Professor Callahan. So he's an inkable 1. That's a 2/2 for 1. So this is just another pretty base stat, 1 cost character. So we get 2 copies of Institute of Technology, Prestigious University. It's an inkable 1, movement cost 1, and willpower of 5. Your inventor characters get +1 willpower while here, and at the start of your turn. If you have a character here, gain 1 lore. For the inventor-based deck, this is a very, very good location. You're going to force your opponent to get rid of it. Looks like 3 copies of Ancass. Biggest fan. Ancass here is a inkable 2 cost. That's a 1/3 for 1. That whenever this character quests, chosen inventor character gets +1 lore. So again, she's a way to boost the inventors for questing. Finally get our gadget for shifting. So gadget is a inkable 2. That's a 2/3. So she should survive for a turn or 2 with 1 lore. And just, of course, just using her to shift into the Brilliant Bassoon. 3 copies of Ben from Treasure Planet. Ben here is a inkable 4 cost. That's a 4/3 for 2 and has support. Seems pretty good. And we wrap up with Baymax's Healthcare Chip. So this is a 2 cost inkable item that has, looks like 2 choices that you can pick from here. So you exert it, and then you choose one. You remove up to 1 damage from chosen character, so it's healing. And you can, if you have a robot character in play, remove up to 3 damage from chosen character. So again, very thematic with Baymax and his healing factor. All right, so that being said, what do I think of the Genius Reinvented single player deck? I think this deck is, of the 2, I think this deck is significantly better than the one prior, the pirate one. I think they're both good. They both have their own merit, but I do believe the Genius Reinvented of the 2 is better. If you're looking for one that's a little bit more competitive, you can definitely build and expand off this one more with cards such as Popsicle, Hiram, Fishbone Quill. You know, if you want to like really build, make something more competitive, I think this one is the way to go over this one. And there you have it. That's going to do it for today's video. Be sure to let me know down below what you thought. And I would really appreciate it if you would give me one of these. It's super impactful in helping the YouTube algorithm help this video find other Lumineers like yourself. If you enjoyed the Lorcana content here on the channel and you want to see more, do me a massive favor and type and smash that subscribe button and click that bell so you get notified when I upload new videos every Tuesday and Friday. As always, you can follow me on the artist, formerly known as Twitter, on X, at Lorcana Thanos. Thanks for watching, and I think you might enjoy these. So check out what else I have here on the channel, and remember, the hardest choices require the strongest wills. Bye.